What would you do if a single moment turned your life upside down? Quang faced a terrifying accident that left him on the brink of permanent disability, but fate intervened in the form of a brilliant doctor and the selfless care of local villagers. From painful steps of recovery to learning the rhythm of farm life, Quang slowly regained strength while unknowingly being tracked by the two people who loved him most, his mother and Linda. Today, we'll follow his journey of resilience, hope, and the heartwarming reunion that awaits. Subscribe now and join us as this inspiring story unfolds. Quang's life had taken a sudden, perilous turn, leaving him teetering on the edge of disaster. One moment he had been strong, confident, and in control of his world, the next, he found himself battered and broken, facing the terrifying possibility of permanent disability. His leg had been severely injured, and every movement brought searing pain that threatened to overwhelm him. It was in those desperate moments, when fear and uncertainty loomed largest, that fate intervened in the form of a remarkable doctor whose reputation for skill and compassion was whispered about throughout the region. Quang remembered vividly the first time he saw him, a calm, composed figure whose eyes held both determination and empathy. From that instant, a sense of hope began to flicker in the darkest corners of his mind, a hope that had seemed almost impossible to grasp amidst the chaos of his accident. The journey toward recovery was anything but easy. Each day brought its own challenges, waking up to aching muscles, learning to trust his injured leg again, and enduring the meticulous, sometimes painful procedures required to mend the bones and tissues that had been so violently damaged. The doctor worked tirelessly, explaining every step, every small adjustment, and every method to stimulate healing, ensuring Quang understood the process even when the pain made it hard to focus. Yet, Quang was not alone. The local villagers who had rescued him in his darkest hour stayed by his side, offering unwavering support. They prepared meals, brought him water, and provided comfort through quiet gestures and warm smiles, showing him the depth of human kindness. Every small act reminded him that he was not just a patient in a sterile hospital bed, he was part of a community that had embraced him when he had nowhere else to turn. Despite the severity of his injuries, the combination of expert medical care and compassionate support slowly began to turn the tide. Quang could feel the gradual return of strength in his leg, the once unthinkable hope of walking again growing steadily more real. The first time he managed to stand, even with the aid of crutches, it was as though a spark had reignited within him. He wobbled and stumbled, each step accompanied by a sharp reminder of the trauma he had endured, but the triumph of defying the odds was exhilarating. He understood that he was not yet fully healed, that the journey ahead would be long, and the road fraught with challenges, but he also knew that he had been granted a second chance at life. A chance that many might never receive. In those quiet, reflective moments, Quang found himself appreciating life in ways he never had before. He noticed the gentle sway of the trees outside, the laughter of children playing nearby, and the reassuring presence of those who had refused to leave him to his fate. Pain and fear were still very much a part of his daily reality, but they no longer dominated his thoughts. Instead, they served as reminders of resilience, of the human capacity to endure and overcome. Each ache, each pang, each hesitant step became a testament to survival, to the extraordinary blend of skill, care, and human compassion that had pulled him back from the brink. Though the road to full recovery remained long, Quang carried with him a profound sense of gratitude and determination. He knew that one day, with patience and perseverance, he would walk freely again, leaving behind the shadows of this harrowing ordeal. For now, He allowed himself to rest in the knowledge that he had survived, that he had been saved by a remarkable doctor and a community whose kindness transcended words. In the quiet corners of his heart, a promise was taking root: he would not squander this gift. Every step, every effort, and every moment of endurance would bring him closer to the life he had almost lost, and to the people who, unknowingly, were quietly preparing to welcome him back into their arms. After the initial weeks of intensive medical care, Quang gradually returned to the small house of the villagers who had rescued him, a place that had become a sanctuary in the midst of chaos. The house, simple but warm, was surrounded by the quiet beauty of a sprawling farm. At first, every movement required immense effort, and even the smallest task felt monumental. Yet, there was a subtle magic in this environment, a rhythm to life that encouraged patience and healing. Quang began to engage in gentle activities, tending to the farm animals, watering the crops, and helping with chores that demanded more care than strength. The villagers guided him carefully, showing him how to balance on his leg, how to bend and lift without strain, and how to approach each day as a series of small victories. With each passing morning, Quang felt the slow, satisfying progress of recovery. The farm became more than just a place of physical rehabilitation. It became a space where Quang could reclaim his sense of purpose. Feeding the chickens, watching the cows graze in the sunlight, or simply walking along the dirt paths that wound between the fields offered him moments of peace he hadn't realized he needed. The routine, the connection to living things, and the quiet companionship of those around him instilled a renewed sense of hope. Even when his leg throbbed with fatigue or missteps sent a jolt of pain through his body, he reminded himself that these were signs of growth, of resilience being forged in the crucible of adversity. Each cautious step he took on the uneven ground of the farm symbolized not just physical progress, but the rebirth of his confidence, his determination, and his belief in the possibility of a full recovery. Quang's days, though demanding, were also punctuated with small moments of joy. He would pause to watch the sunlight filter through the trees, feel the cool breeze on his face, and listen to the distant sounds of birdsong. These simple pleasures, often overlooked in the rush of his previous life, now carried profound significance. They reminded him that life was fragile but beautiful, and that the effort to move forward, to heal, and to regain what had been threatened, was more than worth it. The villagers' laughter, the chatter of children visiting the farm, and the occasional playful antics of the animals all became threads in a tapestry of recovery that wove together physical strength, mental resilience, and emotional restoration. Yet, even as Quang immersed himself in this nurturing environment, his mind was never entirely free of worry or longing. Thoughts of home and the people he loved lingered at the edges of his consciousness. He imagined the familiar streets, the comfort of his own bed, and the faces of those who had been unable to be by his side. These reflections were bittersweet, a reminder of what he had lost and what he hoped to regain. But instead of despair, they fueled a quiet determination to persevere, to honor the care he had received, and to prepare himself for the moment he would finally walk back into the life he had almost lost. With each day, Quang's leg grew stronger, his steps more confident, and his heart lighter. He was still far from full mobility, still reliant on careful movements and cautious balance, but the path ahead was now visible, illuminated by the progress he could see and feel. The farm, with its rhythm, its life, and its gentle guidance, became the bridge between his past vulnerability and his future strength. And as he continued to work, to rest, and to rebuild his body and spirit, he carried with him an unspoken promise that he would return to his home, to the people he loved, and to a life that, though interrupted, would be richer and more meaningful for the trials he had endured. Unbeknownst to Quang, while he immersed himself in the daily rhythms of the farm, two figures were quietly drawing closer to him, guided by love, concern, and an unwavering determination. His mother and Linda had refused to remain passive, even as distance and circumstance had separated them. They had painstakingly gathered information, tracing every clue and whisper that led them to the secluded home where Quang was recuperating. Their journey was fueled not only by the desire to reunite but by the urgent need to ensure his well-being, to witness firsthand that he was safe, and to offer the warmth of family that had been absent during his darkest hours. With each passing mile, their hearts beat in anticipation. Imagining the moment when they would finally see his face, touch his hands, and speak words of comfort that no message or letter could convey, back at the farm, Quang remained blissfully unaware of their approach. He moved about with steady, albeit cautious, determination, tending to the animals and caring for the land with a focus that both grounded and soothed him. The work demanded patience, teaching him the subtle art of balance and endurance. Each task, whether feeding the cows or mending a fence, became a small triumph, a testament to the progress he had made since his injury. Yet even amidst this quiet productivity, a part of him longed for familiar voices, for the reassuring presence of those who loved him, though he had no inkling that they were closer than he imagined. The farm, with its protective walls and tranquil environment, had provided refuge, but it could not shield him from the inevitable reunion that destiny was orchestrating. Meanwhile, the journey of his mother and Linda was both challenging and filled with moments of reflection. They spoke little of their fears, allowing the silence of the road to carry their unspoken worries and hopes. Every landmark they passed, every twist in the road, brought them nearer to the moment that had been long overdue. They recalled memories of laughter, shared meals, and quiet evenings, letting those recollections strengthen their resolve. Their love for Quang was the silent force driving them forward, a reminder that no obstacle, be it distance, fatigue, or uncertainty, could prevent them from reaching him. It was not merely a journey of miles, but of hearts bridging the gap that circumstance had imposed. As the sun began its descent over the horizon, casting golden hues across the farm, Quang paused to rest. He leaned on his crutches, feeling the familiar ache in his leg, and watched the shadows stretch across the fields. A sense of calm filled him, a quiet acceptance of the slow, steady path of recovery he had chosen. And yet, unknowingly, destiny was about to intersect with this calm in ways that would transform the moment into something extraordinary. In the distance, faint figures could be seen moving along the dusty road, carrying with them the promise of care, reunion, and unconditional love. Each step they took was a silent declaration that Quang was not alone, that the bonds of family and friendship had never weakened, and that the world he had temporarily left behind was patiently waiting to welcome him back. Soon, the invisible threads of hope, patience, and determination would converge, bringing Quang face to face with the reality he had longed for without realizing it. His mother and Linda's approach marked the beginning of a new chapter, one where healing was not only physical but emotional, where the warmth of human connection would mend the gaps that pain and separation had created. And when the moment finally arrived, when familiar voices called his name and familiar hands reached out, Quang would understand that the journey, arduous though it had been leading him here all along, to a reunion that celebrated survival, resilience, and the unwavering power of love. In that instant, the farm, the trials, and every painstaking step would transform from symbols of struggle into milestones of triumph, marking the path toward a future filled with hope, joy, and the comforting embrace of home.